So I'm heading down the Edens Expressway into the city of Chicago. And you can see the roadway, and it's white. And this is asphalt that is what? Naturally black. So what does that mean? Well, we had snowfalls and they salted. And this is sodium residue that's left on top of the asphalt, eating away at the asphalt, curing it. Do you know salt has been used by man since the discovery to cure meat, also to cure leathers and everything, to drain out the water? So that means it sits on here and it slowly but surely destroys the surface because they oversalted. The point of calculating and having sophistication and understanding snowfall and being able to predict the amount of snowfall in any particular area, and then how much salt is needed in that particular square footage to melt the snow at an efficient rate where it ends up with a neutral product. The water dilutes the salt dilutes the water, and they end up with a neutral product. A high pH level. You want alkaline. Surely you don't want it to end acidic, you want it to end alkaline. So a low pH is acidic, a higher pH is more alkaline, and so you want to end it with a more alkaline level. So if I was working for, say they have the commission of salting, which they should have specialists that work from the federal, state, local, and county governments in these areas calculating exactly the proper utilage. Because why? Who pays for this? The federal highways pay for this. And if not done right, it destroys the highways. Then it destroys the county roads and the city roads. So the federal government, the state government, the county government, and local government throw out tons of stuff. And then we get into things like what? Obsolete bridges. Like the Quad Cities now is replacing that key bridge that was obsolete. But we're so behind on infrastructure compared to Japan and many other places in the world. And then I keep on hearing about China's great infrastructure and Saudi Arabia and everybody else. And believe me, I'm very happy for them. But I look here and I'm like, it's a joke. The obsolescence of the infrastructure here is unbelievable, and the reason is because we abuse it, and we have to keep on working on the infrastructure, and it doesn't last long enough. Like the new Bears Stadium. Okay, the other one was updated in 2002. Now we're going into 26. They're gonna say groundbreak sometime in 26, be done in 28, right? So they'll use that new stadium to 2028. Okay, that's 26 years. This stadium you designed to be reconfigured or refreshed, right? Like restaurants, McDonald's, they do a refresh every 5 years and then a full remodel every 10 years. Stadiums need to take that concept of keeping the stadiums current so they don't do these long periods of like the Bears Stadium, 23 years without a refresh. The refreshes should come every 5 years. One refresh, and then in 10 years, a remodel. So that means the stadium stays current, and you're not looking to replace it for another 100 years. Truly. If you're doing it right, you're not replacing that stadium at least for another 100 years. So this is a 100-year thing. So when you design it, you're looking to be able to make things fungible. Easy to take out scoreboards, easy to put in new scoreboards, taking in seats, taking out seats. Like the seats itself should snap in. They go into a locking system, they snap in, and then they turn the lock, and it locks them in place. And yes, it needs to be sealed in that so moisture doesn't go in and corrode the system. So they lock the seats in, and then when they want to upgrade or they want to change the seat layout, truly, they want to open areas in the stadium. Like, they want this whole row of seats to go, and they're going to put tables there and booths. Because the seats are so wide, they can remove them. Seats with seating and everything, they can remove rows of seating and reconfigure the stadium for all kinds of events. So they can even put in flooring. There's a insert they can put in. So remember, the stadiums, like on steps on stairs, go up, right? You got rise and run. So much rise, and then you have so much run. And so that determines the pitch of the stadium. Because if you go more vertical, you have to have more rise and less run. So you're figuring out how to do this rise to run calculation to figure out the angle of the stadium to the field. And you got to remember, people are getting taller, and so in new stadiums you need more rise than in old stadiums. You don't want people's heads to be blocking them, so they can wear the big hats and they can have a sign and hold it up, and the people in front of them and behind them aren't blocked by the signage. So what you're going to do is create higher rises, but that's going to be good because what? It keeps them closer to the field as well. But you're going to have more steps. See, the rise doesn't dictate the steps because you can add multiple steps. So instead of a normal stadium where you have, like at Cubs Stadium, you have the rise and run, and where the seats are, they have a rise, and you might take 2 steps to the next plateau where the run is, and then you go down that aisle, right? Well, now with more rise, there might be from the below seats to the top seats, there could be 5, even 10 steps, because the rise is so much above the seats below. And what does this do? This protects anyone that's sitting below them from being messed with, their head, anyone strangling them from behind or stabbing them. Truly, because it's already above them. The next run is above them. So you might have it at 7 feet high. So the rise is 7 feet, and then the run, and I don't know, maybe it's 5 feet long, 5 feet wide. I'm just giving an example, 5 feet, and then you put the seats, and then you go up another 7 feet. And that means everybody is insulated. And that means, truly, it protects them and no one can mess with them from behind. And then over that, you put clear glass between. So all the drinks and everything have to be behind it. So if somebody spills anything, it's sealed off and it doesn't flow down to the next seat below them. Truly. And the clear glass is great right in front of them. They can see in that, but it also protects them from wind flow in that. And you have the ventilation coming down in, and then the vents suck it up from below. On the run, the vents are right below each seat. They have intake vents below the seat. Intake vents below the seat. So the air gets pushed down and then taken in. And what does this prevent? Anyone who's going to do a gas attack in the stadium, well, the only way is to do it through the ventilation system then. But if you secure the ventilation system, it's a downdraft system. So if they disperse anything in the atmosphere like ricin or anything, it pushes it immediately down and sucks it into the intake vents and destroys it immediately. And so it really cleanses people. And then with that, you can even put in a cleansing solution into the ventilation system. A decontamination. Ever been in a decontamination room? You should go into one. They spray a mist. And the ventilation system can spray a mist over everybody, decontaminating them. Even if they release ricin in the air, say, the system recognizes the poison. And it truly, the ventilation system is supposed to recognize all atmospheric contaminations. It takes it in and it analyzes all particles within the atmosphere. And it recognizes any type of contamination and then changes what it puts out. So it can put out a lavender if you want to calm down the fans. Maybe things are not going so well and you want to chill things out, you can put a lavender scent into the ventilation. True lavender. And it will trickle from the ventilation and it will go down to the fan base and calm people down and get taken back in and then separate it out. Truly, through a particle separator, it takes it in. The HAV system separates the particles, and they already have this, separates the particles. And you can even sell off the information to the CDC or pharmaceutical companies by capturing what's in the atmosphere at the stadiums. Truly. And so they get a diagnostic of what's being released in the stadiums by the people in the stadiums. You're not stealing their demographics, but you are if they have colds or flus or whatever. You're capturing it in the ventilation system and then analyzing it. Truly capturing, analyzing it, and figuring out how to treat people effectively. And there should be a minute clinic throughout the stadium. Truly, a minute clinic. Now, just in case of emergencies, people get hurt, right there they can be treated. But there's a minute clinic. So if somebody gets drunk or somebody gets dehydrated, like they say first aid at Lollapalooza, you can set up CVS or Walgreens minute